could you give us some examples of some of the most popular behavioral questions that you ask SAs and what makes a good answer? Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the second session with Saurabh, a current author and expert at solutions architecture over at AWS. My name is Nick Lee. I'm a solutions architect at Tecton. And Saurabh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, and thanks Nick for having me in the Exponent channel again. And I'm Saurabh Srivastava. I'm based out of Seattle, working with AWS since 8.5 years, over 2 decades of the experience. I'm the author of the 3 best-selling book in the solution architect domain. And I'm worldwide solution architect leader in the AWS leading team of architects.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you here, Saurabh. And in today's session, we'll actually be going one level deep on interview tactics and strategy for folks who are potentially interviewing for their first solutions architecture job. I'd love to just kick it off, maybe at a high level, just explaining the general interview pattern for an SA role. What are the kinds of interviews that are involved, and for each, what are some of the key things that they're looking for?
Okay. Yeah, so I can talk about, I think AWS has one of the most rigorous process. If I will cover that, it might be cover a lot of things, right? And if people will prepare that in the mindset, then they can crack any interview. Okay, at least most of them, not any, but most of them. Okay, so one things people should expect always there is a one telephonic screen and written like there will be some architecture diagram there where we may ask what are the different issues are there need to fix, or give some script and says that whether it will spin up the entire infrastructure or not, and ask that if I have the website and because and this is the I will say Terraform script or CloudFormation script is there, which have entire website the tech stack is there. These 2 tech stack could be on the web layer, application layer, and database layer. And maybe you can ask, currently it is not able to connect to the internet. Okay, so what is the problem there? Or this is the architecture. Do you think this architecture is highly available and it is good for the disaster recovery? So there is some scenario in the written where people need to work through that and give very thorough answer on it. Okay, think about all the possibilities. It is always subjective because we want to see that how broad and how deep solution architect can go. And by design, it is not the multiple choice things, right? Because that become a very tactical. You cannot understand the depth of the knowledge. And then second is when people go to the phone screen, and the phone screen is mostly understand whether I should call this person on site or not. Okay, and that's where it required a screening through all sort of the tech domain. And tech domain normally we look for the 100, 200 to 250 level in multiple core tech domain like storage, networking, database, and infrastructure, application development, all those areas, 200 level. But one area you can tell that, hey, I have dived deep on that, right? So everyone coming from the different domains. So the person who's coming from the software, they will say, I have on application development. Coming from the networking, they will say, I can talk about the network. Security can talk about security. So one domain, people can go deep also on that. It is all in telephonic, and it will be mostly 80% take and 20% understand the soft skill, whether you have the pre-sales skill or not. Have you ever involved in doing the RFPs, like request for proposal building and all those things? And once that able to pass the phone screening, then it goes to the on-site interview. And especially in AWS, there is a 5 round of interview. And those 5 round of interview can cover the different domains. And AWS or overall Amazon has the 16 leadership principles. So it often based on the leadership principle. And it doesn't means those question will be soft skills question, but those question will be like a very whatever you have based on that. So we call it behavioral question. It means we are not going to give you the hypothetical situation most of the time. We will understand what you have done in the past. So rather than asking how to design a 3-tier architecture, the question will be, tell me a time when you have built a complex architecture, okay, which helps the customer to launch their product, right? So you have to go back in your memory lane and talk about what you have built in the past. And that's the idea is to understand your practical experience, what you have done, rather than giving the hypothetical. Sometimes you can get 1 or 2 when we want to understand the tech depth of the particular things, and then there will be more follow-up question to understand more detail on that. And so there will be a couple of round will be tech, maybe the system design, maybe understanding what is the breadth of the architecture or technology you have, and what is the depth of architecture and technology you have. And that will be based on your example only, what example you have given. Then there will be a round on the business, where someone from the business person will take the interview and understand how well you understand the business, like your pre-sales skill. Are you able to talk to the C-level executive, and are you able to convince that person with your tech skill, and kind of able to work backward from the business requirement. And then there will be a round. Amazon always have the bar raiser round, so that person comes and understand if you are the culture fit or company fit, right? And that again based on the some question based on your experience. And then hiring manager understand, okay, whether this person is team fit or not, right? So these are the high level rounds are there. And so if you prepare for all those rounds, then I think you can crack any interview.
Thanks for that outline of all those different rounds. You mentioned one of them was talking about a past project that somebody implemented, a complex project. Could you provide some guidance on how people should think about which project to select for that question? And maybe what is an example of a good project versus a bad project to use for that question?
So first of all, let's think how to answer that. Okay, so there is 2 way you can answer. First is you take the STAR methodology. So you talk about the situation, task, action, and result. Okay, so if you are selecting any scenario, you tell what was the situation there. It means what the pain point you were trying to solve, or what gap you were trying to solve. And the task is based on that situation. What thing you list out which will help to solve that problem, and action is how you implemented those lists, okay, those tasks. And result is what was the impact and outcome on that. That is one methodology. Second is the SBI, we call it this, that is situation behavior impact, right? And most of the soft skill side or business question side, I recommend to go SPI, and on the tech side, I say go to STAR, but you can use any method anywhere. And SBI is first talk about the situation. Again, it is working backward from the customer problem, what problem you are trying to solve. And behavior is what was the pattern you saw there, and what you did about that pattern, what behavior you shown to solve that pattern, which is nothing but translate to your task and action. And impact is again what was the outcome. So when you talked about one past project, I will say take something which is more holistic and strategic. Don't take one of the instances. Okay, so one of the instances, right? If someone will say that, hey, I worked in one of the project where database was not coming up. Okay, and then I went and I find out there was a database lock, in the queue, and then I did some vacuum and clear the queue and start, and problem got resolved. That is very transactional and tactical things, right? So it may not fly in the solution architect interview, it may fly in the other interview, maybe the data engineer or DBA kind of interview, right? Here, people are looking for more holistic architecture, and the same things how you can represent, same things you can talk about. There was take the holistic architecture at application layer, there was a performance issue, and how this performance issue is happening because user was not able to load the page, right? And why they were not able to load the page? Because you track back to the business layer, you find that business layer is not able to fetch the query. And why they are not able to fetch the query? Because database having the issue, right? And when you are solving the problem, it is not for the instance, you are thinking about the future. If that lock happen in the database, yeah, at the moment, short term solution, I can clear out the cache and all, solve it, but it should not happen again. Am I missing because of the multiple transaction going on to the database? We should not go cache. Should I put the caching layer there on the top? Okay. And try to cache the result there for the frequent query. Or should I reduce the database load at some point by separating out the reporting? If reporting pointing to the main database, can I have the read activity in the read replica rather than the main database, right? And then you also think about at the application layer, can I put some mutex or semaphore is there? We should not do the parallel request, right? So all those different layer, how you will address that also you need to think about. So to summarize, if you are trying to pick the example for the most complex architecture, go back in memory lane and think about something and prepare in advance. So believe me, it doesn't matter how well you have work done. If suddenly that question someone shoot to you, you will like get lost. And that's what I recommend people to build a interview guide, and you will find that advice in my interview solution architect interview book, where I have put how to build the interview guide. Take 5-7 example, and each example put in star format and think about what the impact it drove. So it should not be just about, so I talked about mostly the situation and action, but impact prospective, if you will see in this scenario, it is not just about the unlocking database or clearing the queue and all. It's about reducing the load time, page load time for customer from the 10 second to 5 second. That is the good impact. And that also improve the, not only improve the performance, but improve the customer satisfaction. And then how you document that practice and scale it to others. Did you take the initiative and think about, hey, this is the problem here, is other application also having the same problem? Did you do the proactive audit as an architect, right? So how you are scaling your learning, that is another important thing. So all these criteria is required, right? So impact and then scaling. I will add one more, star plus scale.
No, that's awesome feedback. So it sounds like project choice, looking at something that is multiple levels of complexity, not just a simple transactional, like debugging a database problem, and tying it back to impact, the outcomes that happened. But also, you gave a nice piece of advice to take 5 to 7 of your projects and actually put it in the STAR method and make sure it's fresh in your mind, so that when you interview, it comes out and it shines.
Right. So I would like to add one more thing. So when you're taking this 5 to 7 example, ask question to yourself, right? And prepare some follow up and be ready for that. So if you have put in a star format, after that the question going to come. So what was the challenges where when you are implementing your action, right? And there should be always the challenges if you're really done the job, right? And then you should ready to answer that. There is, what are the key performance measure, what are the KPI you measure on that, how you quantify that. Okay. And the third is, what was your lesson learned? If you will do it today again, how will you do it differently? So these 3 questions always prepare as a follow-up with all your examples.
So you also mentioned during the interview process there are some behavioral questions. Could you give us some examples of some of the most popular behavioral questions that you ask SAs and what makes a good answer for each of
Okay.
those?
Yeah, so one of my favorite behavioral question I ask is, tell me a time which something you did outside of your area of responsibility and why you choose that and what was the impact, right? So in that case, I want to look into the person. If you are seeing some problem with the customer, are you taking the proactive approach to solve that, or you are saying, hey, this is not my job? Okay. And and that's how we able to raise the bar on daily basis, right? So suppose even though if you are working on the day to day project, so suppose you are a application development architect, okay, and then, or take your network architect, the better example, and you are configuring the network, different layer of network, you are putting the VPC, if I will take the AWS concept, or you are designing the LAN or WAN on simple term, and network firewall and all. But if you will see that there is a issue with the, you see that security posture is missing, there is a security vulnerability is there, right? You, are you ready to take that kind of initiative, say that, hey, this is even though my outside of my area of domain, but I should do something about it, right? And did you build some initiative where you say that, hey, security is first, and after that and it should be embedded everywhere, not in the networking but application and all those things, right? So this is one of the example, and I expect everyone to take the additional responsibility, jump into the things when, and get your sleeves up when you see the problem, rather than saying that, hey, it's not my job.
Yeah, that's a great question. Personally, when I interview a lot of essays, I always like to ask them for an example of how they contributed back to their essay organization outside of a typical business sales cycle. So maybe they contributed back some best practices or wrote a program that other essays can use and become more efficient with. So I like to look for those things. A huge part of that interview cycle is the systems design interview. Could you give us an overview of what that entails and also some examples of questions you might get on a systems design interview?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so the system design interview for the solution architect, it will not be at the code level, right? We are not asking you to write the pseudo code or put some code in C++, Java, or any Rust or any other language, but it's more about how you are thinking about the overall architecture, right? So if I will take an example, one of the system design example, if I will take, suppose if you want to build the e-commerce website, right? And I give the e-commerce example because everyone can relate to it. Everyone, people are doing shopping in Amazon.com, right? It is a big e-commerce website and all. Okay, so people can relate to it. So how you are going to design that website, right? And where you have the millions of transactions, and it can scale it to the billions of them, okay? So when system design questions will come, and these kind of questions is come, I will say that don't always jump into the answer, right? Ask some probing question, and that is the solution architect job, to clarify the requirement. Sometimes I intentionally ask the question without giving the much information, and I expect person to ask the probing question from me, right? If I'm saying, oh, go and design the 3 tier or solution e-commerce website, I'm expecting them, they should ask, okay, so how much transaction you are expecting, how many users will be there, or will it be hosted globally, or it is for the some reasons, right? And are you expecting it to be accessible from the multiple channels, right? Like mobile and desktop and all. So at least 3 4 probing question you should always ask, right? And then if person will say yes, it will be hosted globally, everyone in the world should able to access it, and it should have the 100,000 user or 1 million user, then your answer change drastically from one requirement to other. If I will say it is hosted in one region versus globally, it change drastically. If I will say it is 100,000 user to 1 billion user, your answer change it. Okay, so you make sure you ask that question. And once you go on the designing, think about the business requirement before jumping into the three-tier architecture. What is the business requirement here? Business requirement is user want to come and they want to first log in, right? So you want to have the secure authentication and open authentication. Then they want to see the product catalog, and product catalog can have lots of image and videos on that. So if your website is hosted in US and someone is from the Australia, how fast they will able to download, because there will be lots of network latency, right? And then there will be add to cart feature where people is placing to order, they are adding in the cart. How you encourage them to do the checkout and do the shopping rather than abandoning the cart? That is the big problem, right? So you focus on that, and then how they smoothly they can make the payment, what different in payment module, what different method I am providing, then how fast I can ship, how it is integrated with all other system. Because as soon as order get placed, it need to go into the warehouse management, the warehouse, and then warehouse management need to have the transportation lifecycle management. It need to pack, ship, and then in all these steps you need to give the update back to the user. So if any time they are clicking, they see, hey, where is their package and what stage it is, how I can facilitate the easy return option. So think about all the different feature, and then say that these are the different feature I will think, but I will dive deep on the couple of feature, right? So let's dive deep on the first thing, the user authentication, because security is important, and second is the order management, placing the order, and then you go into the architecture, right? So if I'm going taking the order management example, now I'm going into the architecture. So first is, I will talk in top layer, I will talk about the edge location. Okay, so where I can cache my static content, video and image, so anyone can download immediately, right? Even though my website hosted in US, but my static content sitting somewhere in Sydney and Melbourne, where Australian user can download. So there is no latency on that, right? The second is you will also talk about how you are going to protect it from the DDoS attack. You will put the web application firewall. Okay, so make sure that it does not get, and then you will only expose when traffic will come, like these millions of user is coming, you only expose the load balancer there. Everything will be in the private subnet, so no one can crack to it. Then you are going in, the second is your web layer. We are talking about the user authentication. Application layer, where you have all the business logic. Someone is placing the order, you need to calculate the tax, you need to calculate the money, process the payment, and send it to the order, to the warehouse management system. Now, if you also need to think about, and then you have the database where you are hosting everything. Then you think after that, move to the NFR. NFR is you talk about how the non-functional requirement will satisfy. So first things is think about how I will scale. Today my user is 1 million. Suddenly in Thanksgiving it went to 10 million. Will my website will scale to 10 million, or it will start doing error out? So then it is scaling come in the database scaling and application scaling. Application layer, you can have the auto scaling, whether it is you are doing in container or you are doing the server, apply the auto scaling there. And I'm not going lots of details because this is the long answer, but giving you a high level. In database, think about separating out the read replica from the main database, and or also think about can you use the NoSQL database? right, for session management, for the product catalog and all those things to offload? Or can you shard your database? Because if there is based on the key, you can have multiple segment of the database, right? So these are the things in terms of the scalability. You can thought high availability. Do customer really want active or they really want the active pace scenario? Then you want to have the disaster recovery and the security at every layer. So all these different things need to think about when answering the system design question.
That makes sense. And I like what you said about kind of starting big picture. You're asking these probing questions and then identifying these key properties of your system, but then only going deep on a few of them, since obviously there's a time limit and you
Hmm.
can't go deep on everything. But I think that's fantastic advice. I wanted to ask about a a type of interview that I've actually seen quite a lot. We do it at Tecton, and also previous companies that I've worked for have done this, where we ask the candidate to make a presentation. They either present another product that they've sold before, or they do a demo of some arbitrary software. Is there anything like that at AWS, uh, or have you kind of seen this with other people who are interviewing for essay roles? And yeah, what kind of guidance can you give for that?
Yeah, presentation I will see is the key part of the essay role, right? This is day in, day out they need to do. And I have put a very broad advice and very deep advice in book also, is both whiteboarding and presentation, right? So first I will go to the presentation, address your question, and then we'll go to the whiteboarding also. So presentation is my advice on the presentation is always think about your presenting to the CXOs first, right? And don't put throw lots of slide and busy slides there, right? If you are presenting to the CIOs and the CEOs, they have very less time, right? Their time is very valuable, and don't get into urge of giving all the details, right? Okay, so might be I will suggest let's put 8-10 slides and talk about the business value first, right? And explain the persona, what persona you are presenting, even if nobody has asked. Okay, so first persona you should start with the CIOs persona who want to suppose cloud move the entire workload in the cloud, how it is going to help, and they mostly care about how it is going to improve their team productivity, how it is going to improve the cost for them, right? Reduce the cost for them without sacrificing the customer experience and performance. So take that angle, and then you can put might be one slide for the director of engineering or chief architect, right? And just stop there. Rest detail you can put in appendix, right? So if you are presenting to the people, you should have some standard is there. If there is a 45-minute presentation, the rule is you should not have more than 15 20 slide, 15 slide I will say, okay, maximum. One slide should not take more than 2 minutes. You don't want to put lots of text, because the whole idea about slide is you give some visual, but you will have lots of talking points. And then you also and then you leave the time for question and answer, right? So if there is 45-minute time, 30 minutes should be reserved for the presentation, 15 minutes for the Q&A. And those 30-minute 20 slide means if you are taking like a 10 slide per slide, 2 minutes, 20 minutes gone there, right? And then introduction and all. So keep it very crisp, and again talk about the what is the takeaway from that presentation, right? If they go out of the room at the end, what they think, do we have the clear action item first, and what is the key takeaway and call to action we normally call it, right? And normally I ask people, suppose you got 30-minute time and you just got 5 minutes because of some sudden happen, how you convey your idea in 5 minutes? So what normally presentation happen is people try to get lots of details and then they keep the summary at the end, right? But what happened? You run out of the time and the key part, all the meaty part get left out. I would say don't put the suspense. Executive don't like suspense. Put first what are the you are going to explain, and if they have to drop after 5 or 10 minutes, they also understand they get the key meat there. Okay, so my advice is opposite. First, go into the summary part, see what they are going to get and why, and then how part can explain later.
And that's a great tip. And do you think that translates as well to customer facing presentations? Should we kind of front load that summary and put it all in the 5 minutes so that if they leave, it's still.
Yes, yes. I will say that resonate to everywhere in customer facing also, because what happened in presentation, people get bored after 15 minutes and they lose the attention. So the highest time span of attention is first 5 to 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
whatever key message you want to convey, use that time. And if they get buy-in those 5 to 10 minutes, they are going to stay throughout. Otherwise, they will say, I'm not getting what this person is trying to say, and everyone start checking their laptop and mobile, and it will go off the rail.
Awesome. So you also mentioned in the AWS interview cycle, there's the hiring manager interview towards the end of that. Could you tell me what that entails and what is the hiring manager asking that the other people have not already asked?
Yeah, so normally hiring manager always look is how this person is the team fit, and how this person is going to work with the my customer and the stakeholders, because hiring manager is always in leadership position, and they are working with the multiple team members on the across the horizon, right? Multiple teams, right? And then they are also working a lot with the leadership, right? Providing the updates to them and all those things. So they always look how this person can not only work within the team, but also this person can work across the team, and how well he articulate the things which help, and how crisp he can put, which helps to provide the leadership update also, right? So I will say it is more about the team fit, and that can be mix of the things. There could be things, some few things about the how that person is going to earn trust, right? And if that person is taking the ownership of their action and not, especially not throwing others under the bus, okay, that is most important. And some behavioral question comes into that. Suppose one question I can ask is, tell me a time when your goal depend upon the other team's goals and how you align that, right? And the simple things is, suppose you are building a data lake, right? Data lake, maybe building the data lake is top goal for you and you want to get it out from the way. But then you need to go to the finance team, and you want data from them, or inventory management team want data from them. For inventory management, that is not top goal, that is on their bottom of the list, right? So how you help them, and they might be busy more or managing the inventory software, packing, packing and shipping. So how you align the goal there, right? How you make sure your things happen, what action did you take there, right? uh, when if you have to take the escalation path, how you go about it, okay? And especially that is the tricky situation, because you should always take the buy-in from the peer team and create the joint strategy when going in front of the management, rather than going and saying that, hey, I'm not getting this from here, right? So those kind of things is lots of the things which talk about the team fit, right? So these are the one question, and I can think of some more questions are there where we see that, hey, you missed the deadline, right? And that deadline you miss because of the some team members were not available or able to not do delivery. Then how you tackle that the situation, right? How you presented that situation. So these are some tough questions, but these are the very important question to have a right team player.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough question. I'm curious, like I actually have not been asked that before, and I haven't been in a situation where like a team just dropped the ball on it. What what do you think the best approach to that problem is? And like, yeah, as if you're being asked this on an interview, I'd love to hear your answer.
Yeah, means the best approach is always where you see the ball is getting dropped, understand why it is happening, because no one do it intensely. There is some problem there, right? Because overall everyone here to get the work and get paid, right? They understand what is the problem. The problem may be actually there may be the problem they don't have the data, right? Or they are waiting for something, or they are thinking they don't have bandwidth because they are so slammed with the other priority, right? So can you go there and can you help them to do the things, right? If they are saying, hey, I have the table, but I don't have anyone to to pull the data and give the dump to you, is your team has the bandwidth because that your primary KPI say that, hey, could you, if you can provide me the temporary access, I can do the job for you, right? Or I can help you to automate something. Or if that is not happening, then actually you need to solve their problem in order to earn their trust. And so if they are running the bandwidth, you can say that, hey, I'm going to help you. Let's make a business case and say that, hey, I need some more resources in the team so that I can also work on these critical things. So actually in this process, why you are helping, you are solving your problem, before that you are helping the other people problem. So I will say the best way to build the trust and build the collaboration, to understand what other person goal is and make their goal your goal, right? And try to help them, and they will automatically help you. And that things goes long way. Even after a year, if you need something, you will go them. They will never say no, right? You will always get it. So that's the journal humanly advice I guess to the people.
Awesome. So we've covered a handful of example questions today, given people some strategies. What other guidance can you give people as they prepare for these interviews? Uh, any parting words?
So one things I think we have not addressed is lots of new college pass out is asking, hey, how I can get into the solution architect career. Okay, because these are the area where you see lots of experienced people are sitting. So my advice is first of all, try to find the path which can lead to you there. Okay, so even there is handful job where you can get into the solution architect job day one, like AWS as the tech university career, tech university program where it's called TechU, where you can get into the, if you get selected, you get into TechU Academy 6-month program and do that. But in that case also, we expect if you are the college pass out and coming to there, the other path is you get into the support engineer role, right? And from there you get a good hands-on, and then you can move into the architect path, or you get into even software development, and then you can move after a couple of years. You can move to that. But beginning of your career, my advice is to don't bog down with presentation and Excel sheet. Do as much as hands-on you can do. Even if you are doing the job where as a 1 year, 2 year experience, you are doing presentation and Excel sheet, it is going to backfire. Okay, if not, then tomorrow you will have nothing. Okay, so do as much as hands-on you can do. That is the initial. Even though so even today I build lots of POCs and prototyping. Okay, even though talking to lots of executives in my current role, but still I stay in touch with the technology, and that is the reason I start writing the book. Because as getting the experience, getting into the leadership role, kind of you start losing touch there. And the best way to teach, best way to learn is to teach others, right? And that's what, when I'm writing the book, I'm learning a lot, I'm experimenting a lot, and I'm trying like how I present to the people so that they can understand in very simplified manner. putting the tech things in simplified manner is a little challenging. So you have to do lots of research. So college aspirant, I will definitely say that they should, there is different venue, and they should stay in touch with the technology, and eventually they will get into the path. And yeah, I will say, whatever we talked about, I always love to helping the people, and that's what, to scale myself, I have packaged that into multiple tech talks and books and everywhere. So you are always welcome to explore that, and you can follow me in LinkedIn and be in touch.
That's great advice. I know there are a lot of college students graduating into this market right now and trying to figure out what their next steps look like. Um, I know when I was fresh out of college, I did not know that I would go down the path of solutions architecture. My first job was actually more of a sales engineering role, which was less
Mhm.
focused on the overall system, maybe a little more sales focused, but it actually gave me an opportunity to get my hands dirty and actually build systems and be in the game. And then I
Mhm.
worked on some other skills to become an SA. So I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. And also interesting that everybody comes from a different path. There's no clear, correct path into solutions architecture. It seems like people come from such a wide variety of backgrounds. With the last few minutes we have, maybe you could just tell us how it has been writing those books of yours, and also I'm curious how you find the time to do it all.
Yeah, I think it's required lots of discipline, and one things and lots of practice, right? So the success or comes with the hard work and practice, and it's less from the luck, most from the how disciplined you are and how intentional you are. So for me, actually, yes, all the books is like 500, 600 pages, and every time even I'm revising the book, I'm kind of rewriting everything. And I mostly I don't watch much TV, so my TV time and is almost none. Means still I watch. It's like, but it's just I limit to 30 minutes per day, right? And then Sunday kind of I put on the writing. So everywhere, like after food, I put 1 hour thinking, doing some research, thinking about what should be the outline and all. And then with years of practice, now I can write very fast. So Sunday, I just sit down like 4 or 5 hours in one go and finish the chapter, right? And one book, it take a good time because of, as you said, this is full time job with family and with so many responsibilities. I normally put 9 to 12 months time. So we have in between, we have vacation, we have the family plans, and also kind of try to balance everything. And if we'll do simple math, in 1 week you have the 168 hours, and then if you are putting like 40 to 40 hour in the job, 40 to 45 hours typically, you can still, if you target I will take almost 4 to 6 hours to follow my passion, whether it is writing the book, whether it is sports or anything else, or learning the code and all. After a year it will make big difference, right? And that is the power of like Atomic Habits if you know the book, right? And reading it easy, but yeah, it takes some time to bring into the discipline. And when I'm writing about these topics, these are very broad topic. Like in my latest edition of Essay Handbook, you see I dived up a lot on the generative and machine learning. While in my previous edition, I put a lot on the quantum computing and IoT. So whatever this trend, we have to put that.
Cool.
And yeah, and if you will see the interview solution architect interview book, it talk about the 10 different roles of the solution architect, and each role dive deep onto how to do the whiteboarding for that role, how to do the presentation, and what different question can ask, how you can answer those questions. It's kind of a full interview guide is there. Yeah, so I will say to everyone, if you want to follow your passion, just get into the discipline. Some lean on some of the time might be social media and TV time might be little bit need to cut down, not eliminate, And just think about where I can get 4 to 6 hours in a week, and success will follow you. You'll see the difference.
Thank you for that. That's great life advice. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. As mentioned before, Saurabh wrote the Solutions Architect interview, which is available today. It goes super in depth, way more in depth than this video on actual questions that you'll be asked on an interview. So we definitely recommend that you check that out. Awesome, Saurabh. It was great talking to you, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me.